Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again on my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Greetings and felicitations.
Oh, what's up?
There's something different about today. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Boys are back in town.
Is that it? You mean like the show?
I don't know, Mike, what's different about today?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, Mike's here.
So, is that what it is?
Oh, shit.
Thanks. Been here the whole time.
The return of the legendary author of Graveyard Shift, which that's been years your title.
Yes.
And now, Chthonia's Reckoning, the Black Library, the new anthology, Horus Heresy Compendium for the new box set, and the big major release that people are so hype on.
Yep. And it's got some great stories in it. It's honestly a bucket list item for me because I got like second billing after John French, like I was a real author or something. I was like, holy crap. So it's pretty major.
It is pretty fucking cool, man. I'm not going to lie. And obviously, being an author has been the game for you for as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
Warhammer 40K has been how I met you.
Here it is, actually, if you can.
Ooh,
for those who are watching
nice.
the feed, he's got a copy in his hands right there with that sick artwork.
Yeah.
Fresh.
And then I got this yesterday and literally cried because I opened this up and that is the super sexy collector's edition.
So fist symbol.
Oh, of the same book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I saw the fist picture and I was like, did he get like a special Sigismund copy or something?
Sons of
Horus. It's the
really
same.
cool.
Yeah. So it's Sons of Horus on the back.
Yeah.
And Imperial Fists on the front.
Awesome. It's got like the embossed checker pattern. That's so
It's
cool.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
It's so cool. And it has artwork inside, but I don't know if I'm allowed to show that yet, so I won't.
That's exciting. It's exciting that you might not be able to show us stuff in that book.
It'll be out on
It's out on
Saturday,
18th, I think.
Yeah, this is coming up Saturday. Not this Saturday. Next Saturday. Excuse me.
Next Saturday, yeah, because they did a 2 week pre-order.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's exciting information. Now, if you guys know, we do an after hours and a pregame show. A lot got discussed already. We're, moving into our like hour and a half of having Mike with us. So a lot of questions got answered. And so I encourage anybody who listens to this podcast, who listens to this right now on your ride home, go check that after hours. A lot of cool topics got discussed. And more cool topics will continue to get discussed tonight, but obviously we have a table of contents. We've got our tabletop marketplace. We've got our Would You Rather. We've got a Haspil's Corner for the first time in an epoch. And we'll talk about these new rumors that has us all quitting Warhammer 40K and moving on to bolt action.
Time to segue into a bolt action podcast.
I thought we were going to do Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Too new, too much stuff.
Yeah, it's too flashy. The rules changed too much. It's too competitive. I want a game that died like 10 years ago. That's my speed.
As a matter of fact, now that you say that, bolt action is too new.
Yes, bolt action is too new.
We're just going to go back to Little Soldiers by
Little Wars.
Little Wars. Yeah, we'll just do Little Wars.
That's kind of a good speed. I was thinking like Starfleet Battles or that Babylon 5 fleet game. That might be
tight.
Those aren't getting updated. Like, honestly, though, I think Starfleet Battles does get updates.
Yeah, too new.
Too new. Yeah. Little Wars, H.G. Wells. That's what it is.
That's the only. That's never going to get updated.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it. Would you rather with the whole crew? Let's hand it over to Wyatt. Roll out to that Cave of Wonders.
Would you rather your house be permanently infested with cockroaches or ants?
Wait, that's it?
That's the whole thing?
Yeah. Just
okay. What's the definition of an infestation?
Oh, they're everywhere, dude. Like they're
like all the time, 24 hours a day on my desk. I have to smack them around Joe's apartment level.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do to mitigate the infestation?
Nope. They're just there.
I mean, like if I do exterminate, they're immune to extermination, they're magic infestation?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're magic cockroaches and magic.
Magic cockroaches. That sounds terrible.
What kind of cockroaches?
I don't know, your normal house ones.
Regular, like flying cockroaches?
Not all cockroaches.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are they flyers or are they just big, gross walkers?
I don't know. Whichever ones are normally in your area.
Okay, so regionally. Can I exploit this by moving?
No.
Okay.
For the rest of your life, any place you move into, they come with you.
They come
We
with
should
you.
talk.
Yeah.
We should talk also.
Do they come with me in
about,
my car?
No. It's just your house. They get their own like U-Haul.
What kind of ants?
They're just like normal ants.
Biting
black
ants?
ants?
Like regionally,
Don't want no fire ants. Fuck that.
Like just the normal ants that you would see. Like they're just normally pretty benign little ants.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. They're everywhere.
Oh God. Like if I open a refrigerator, like in there, is it that bad? Or like just on my counter trying to eat scraps that I left behind?
Yeah, they're not like in your food and shit. That'd be unlivable. You just die.
I mean, cockroaches are gross. Like, who would? I mean, I kind of feel like everyone's gonna pick ants because, like, cockroaches are just the nastiest little things.
Yeah, I mean, ants seem better because, I mean, they just like kind of take your shit, but they don't really mess with you.
I mean, I guess neither do cockroaches. Do cockroaches contribute in any positive way to my household?
I don't think so.
Like, are they just eat my food? They gonna pay rent?
No.
Cockroaches get into bed with you? Ugh.
Oh,
So would the ants.
I don't know.
This is a rough one.
Yeah, but ants are a lot smaller than cockroaches.
Yeah, but like proportionally, there's going to be more of them.
Yeah, there's gonna be a ton of them, dude.
Like for every one cockroach, there's like 10 ants.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna go with ants.
One million
Yeah, I don't want no
ants.
bitey ants or no fire ants, but ants in general might be okay.
I mean, what's the type of ants in North Carolina?
I mean, like that, like
I don't know.
household ants, the
Black
ones that get
ants.
in your house and fuck with stuff. I've never really seen them like do any kind of bitey stuff.
Nah, they just like take your food or whatever.
Yeah, like, and it's gonna be ants all day, dude. Like,
Yeah, I think
I feel
ants.
like yeah.
like,
Because
I
like
lo-
flying cockroaches, like in the middle of the night,
Nah.
you're feeling for something flies in your
you would
mouth,
exist in a perpetual
at your
state
ear or
of
something. Yeah.
anxiety that would
Not handling
kill
it.
you. Like you would have a heart attack from just knowing at any time one of these fucking cockroaches about to fly at you.
Ants all day. Yeah.
Yeah, this is how you get ants. Fucking magic ants. I mean,
How
it's
we
gonna
get
be
ants.
a nightmare no matter how you slice it. Definitely gonna spend a lot of time at the hobby shop.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, just get out of the house more. It'll be good for you.
yeah, that's literally. I mean, it really gonna change my life. Like, ain't gonna be Airbnb in this joint.
Just come home.
Oh,
tired,
yeah.
Get into bed with all your ant friends.
Just ruin the
Narl and
resale
I'd
value.
say he'd hear an air bubble and roaches were coming out of the toilet.
Ugh.
Nope.
The lid. I'm like, no.
I had a roach come out of my sink drain one time in North Carolina. Crawled right up out of that joint. And I was like, this is a horror movie. Fucking full panic. All right, well, fuck it. Then let's accelerate it. We got a lot of topics to cover tonight. We got Haspil here. Let's turn it over to Rob so he can do his award-winning segment.
I totally just didn't sneeze. I think I reached the mute button in time. Anyways, yes. Hello, fellow humans. We have new and exciting things to buy and sell. So if you're going to pick up the Horse Heresy stuff next weekend when it goes live on the 18th, it looks like there's going to be a lot more releases down the road. GW put out their Horus Heresy roadmap. It looks like there is going to be another Contemptor kit coming out, the relic looking one with a different front, some different weapon options. Also, the Proteus, the Land Raider Proteus, we've seen pictures of it in the Horus Heresy rulebook. It looks like it shares the same sprue configuration with the Spartan. It'll just have a different front and a different top, which means it's going to be like 6 sprues, which is kind of wild. Keep in mind, the Land Raider currently is $110. The plastic Land Raider from 2000? I think that was 2000 when it came out. $110. So who knows what these will be price-wise when they are available separately at some point down the road for Horus Heresy. Switching gears, going over to Star Wars Legion, there was a bunch of reveals today. It was supposed to be mini extravaganza, but unfortunately, a lot of folks at staff at the Atomic Mass Games crew got COVID. So they're postponing the mini extravaganza, but there were still time drops and things on the Asmodee website, and they had some social media posts. So it looks like there's going to be kind of like, I guess not necessarily a start collecting box, but some combo boxes for Star Wars Legions coming out, as well as Clone Wars. So there's going to be one themed around Hoth with the opposing Imperial and Rebel Defenders, Blizzard Force, versus the Echo-based Defenders. They're both price pointed at $150. So lots of models in there. It looks like there's going to be a little bit of savings, but the savings is going to come from on some of them picking up models that are already in the starter box itself. So there might be stuff you already have, but if you haven't got into Star Wars Legion or Clone Wars yet, this might be a good pickup for you either way. And then for Clone Wars, there'll be 501st Legion and the Separatist Invasion Force. So a couple of those to look out for in the near future. They also dropped a couple new releases, IG-88/IG-11 2-pack. Cool. And along with Swoop Bike Raiders, which will be playable for both the upcoming Shadow Collective and the Rebels too. So pretty cool stuff.
Criminal Syndicate, is it released now or
next week?
Okay. Do they have a starter?
Shadow Collect. Yeah, they do. And that's the only way currently to get the operative Maul figure with the from the Mandalore saga with the robot legs. And the dark saber.
I should look into that because I've been waiting for Criminal Syndicate.
Yep, it looks pretty neat. There's also a card pack coming out with updates to the Winnebago van and Cad Bane, Boba Fett, and Bosk, so you can take them with some of the Shadow Collectives. And I don't think you can take Boba Fett with Shadow Collective, but I think you can take him with a different faction now, and I forget which one. But either way, new updates, new unlocks, and all sorts of different stuff in there. So card pack might be worth picking up too. And then also on the Horus Heresy side of things, they also previewed the Liber Mechanicus today. So we know that the Mechanicum are going to get a full rule set as well. But there's also supposed to be some day one downloads, so you can still play with your Custodes, your Solar Aux, your Mechanicum before these books come out later on down the road. And Imperium will be out apparently in the fall as well. So that was
Liber mean?
Book.
Lever, like something you use to pry a rock.
10-4.
Which is appropriate for Mechanicum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Thank you.
Seriously, it's a book.
That's what it means?
Book. Liber is book.
Yeah, I'm not enunciating correctly.
No, I mean, I've heard it and I've said it before, but I'm like, you know what? I've never actually fucking asked anyone what it means.
There's a way to look up random facts. Like,
I mean, most of being an adult is Googling things, and I just failed my adult check.
Yeah. One of my favorite little like cartoons ever is a single panel cartoon of like 2 rabbits sitting down, and it says Days Before the Internet, a short story. And one rabbit goes, I just thought of something I want to know more about. And the other rabbit goes, oh, that's a damn shame. Yeah. It's fantastic. I love it.
It's true. You had to like read a book. Oof. Dewey Decimal.
Friends would just tell you shit. You just had to take their word for it for years.
There's no fact checking whatsoever. I did want to talk about, we did an interesting piece today about a plastic Thunderhawk. And that was all, that whole article was inspired by the fact that I got one of these, from Asmodee. This is the new Quinjet terrain piece for Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I didn't realize until I got it put together, but this thing actually has the same wingspan as the Forge World Thunderhawk, 17 inches. It's not quite as long.
Bigger than I thought.
It is ginormous.
That is substantially larger than I thought it was. Holy fuck.
It's 13 at the fuselage is 13 inches. So it's a solid 6 inches shorter than a Thunderhawk, but the wingspan is there. And this literally makes it the same size, not only the largest plastic flyer for tabletop wargaming in existence, but it also makes it the same size as a lot of like the Forge Roll flyers that cost multiple hundreds of dollars. This thing's only $80. And at first I was like, $80 seems like a lot. But then I was like, wait a minute, this thing's huge.
No, that's free. When you holy fuck.
It's obviously free in GW money. But when I started thinking about it, I was like, there is no reason Games Workshop, because there's a lot of rumors out there saying there is going to be a plastic Thunderhawk. And from the same type of people, they made a lot of bold predictions and they all came true too. So it's definitely doable. And if I had to guess, I would say this is going to be the first over $200 miniature we're going to see from Games Workshop. Might not be this year, but it'll be soon. It'll be sooner than it's not happening.
Rob, are you going to buy a plastic Thunderhawk?
I will.
I mean, I got to. If you weren't going to do content, would you buy one?
If I what?
If it wasn't for content, just use it. Just you, private person, Rob Baer. No videos, nothing. You buy a plastic Thunderhawk?
Well, because I have the Forge Roll one, yeah, I would. And I have the Epic one. So
you want two Thunderhawks?
And I have the plastic one for AI, even though I don't even play AI.
I don't know what that is.
Aeronautical Imperialis. So, yeah, I mean, I would buy it. But I'm curious to see the differences between the Forge Rolled one. Because, look, Asmodee, AMG, they don't have half the resources Games Workshop does. They make all this shit in China. GW, they do shit right. Like, their manufacturing, top notch.
The Quinjet, is it basically just like a hollow shell?
No.
It's got interior detail and all that stuff?
It's got like interior base for the landing gear and intakes that you kind of build up, but there is no like removable canopy or anything. No.
Okay. So yeah, that answers it. So I feel like the reason they were able to price point it at that is because where and how it was manufactured and the style of model kit that it is, because it's meant to be a terrain piece, right? It looks really cool, but it's not like a scale model. It's not like a F-14 scale model, right?
Well, I mean, GW stuff isn't a scale model in comparison to like Revell.
But they include all of those extra parts, like even in a Rhino, dude. Like a Rhino should be like 4 pieces that just creates a metal box, right? With nothing on the inside. But they don't do that. They have to have like the entire interior detail stuff, which adds all these extra parts and doodads and everything. And that's why I think the plastic Thunderhawk would be priced insane, because if they just made it a Thunderhawk that was like just to be like the shell of a Thunderhawk from the outside and look cool, they could probably cut costs like crazy, but they would never do that because they don't do that with any of their kits.
Well, and I agree and I disagree with you at the same time, because after seeing the sprues for the Spartan that are coming in the Horus Heresy box and seeing that there's 6 sprues, one of them is the accessory sprue, so just forget about that. So there's 5 sprues. One of the sprues is a weapon sprue, and the weapon sprue has the double stack glass cannons to make the quad for the Spartan. But what a lot of people didn't notice was it has 2 sets of mounts, one that's big enough to hold the quads in, and one that's short, that's a shorty to do a double stack. And that's why I was like, I wonder if they're going to make the Proteus. And then I realized that the one sprue that has all the parts to make the Spartan, like the elongated assault ramp thing in the front and the different top, that is all on the same sprue. And it's actually stamped Spartan, and everything else is stamped Land Raider. So they literally are going to switch out that one sprue and put in the Proteus sprue, so you can make the 2 different versions with the 2 different fronts. But that being said, something I realized from this kit that the wings are hollow and stuff, but it's the same exact wing it's the same exact wing, just like it's the same sprue. Like, so like they figured out a way to duplicate and save money on sprue count, which GW does a lot. You know, they'll put like 2 of the same sprue in there that you can use and such. Like all the kits have the same accessory sprue in Horus Heresy. It's all the same vehicle accessory sprue. And so that's why I think they could duplicate. You could have one sprue that would be like the same for the wings, right? Then you could have one sprue that, you know, might have like the
I see what you're saying. You described that poorly for me. You're saying it's literally a carbon copy. The wing is ×2. It's identical on the bottom and on the top, so they can simply be inverted to be either wing.
Right.
So it's not 2 separate molds.
Right. And you could do the same thing with the front stabilizer, the front, heavy bolter sponsons, et cetera, et cetera.
Full interchangeability to cut corners. That makes sense.
Right.
But also it is intriguing that they would also develop these kits modularly so that like it could be a different variant of the Thunderhawk. And they don't have to make a new one. It's the same one, but because they pre-planned that modular element of it, here's the new sprue that makes it the Thunderhawk Exterminator. Yeah.
I mean, there is some variants to have not the volcano cannon on the front, but I mean, that's another good point too that you make, because, you know, eventually, like we saw with the Baneblade, first there was 2 Baneblade kits. Now there's 1 Baneblade kit with all the pieces in it. Same with the Knights. Like there used to be separate Knight boxes. Now it's all one box. Even the Dominus, it's all the.
Yeah, I'd like to actually look at that money. I mean, that money line, like, because like it is strange, because on the like Wyatt's point, like on the surface, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But then if I want to look at all the numbers across the board, because then I'm like, well, if you planned out for like 10 years how these kits can become more kits and it's still always the initial kit, and even though it was initially like a lot of excessive like stuff to produce, that it doesn't save you money in the long run as you onboard that modular element to it, and how every vehicle is the same chassis. I'd be really curious to see that information, you know, like and I hope they do. Right now I'm fucking ecstatic that like the Quinjet is the largest plastic flying kit in the game. Like that is cool. That a Marvel model has currently taken that as the
$80.
That's nuts.
Wow.
So I hope GW brings the heat with the Thunder.
I could definitely see them, you know, with the technology they have high hopes. So that was something that I definitely wanted to mention, because it's definitely worth talking point. Like we haven't seen anything like that before. So very interesting stuff. That's basically all I got. It's been
LVO tickets on sale.
Oh yeah. Yep. Thank you for reminding me. LVO tickets went on sale. We have, of course, Long War doubles. I think the only event that has actually sold out yet is the Star Wars Legion event.
Oh, wow. Good for them.
Yeah, and this is a soft release. Not all the tickets are up right now. This is there's a lot of to be announced, because they're just letting people figure out their dates and get their championship tickets and stuff like that right now. So stay tuned and check back in frequently. Of course, Signals from the Front Line, check out their Twitch stuff and everything, and stay updated with their releases as they're talking about the evolving process, because it takes a lot. It's a lot more. Well, you know what? Like, I guess I'm just kind of never thought about it, but we got approached by Kicker like last week or 2 weeks ago, and he was like, "Hey, what about Long War doubles?" And I was like, "Man, it's like in January, dog. Why do you need to talk to us?" He's like, "Yeah, tickets are going on sale like right now." I was like, almost as if an event on this scale takes like a year to plan.
Yeah, or at least 6 months.
Like, okay,
yeah.
So Long War doubles, LVO should be the best one yet.
And he's doing some painting classes.
Yep, I'm proud to announce that the tickets aren't up yet, but we have talked and confirmed that I will do my first convention-based IRL painting seminar in the history of me in the game. This will be my 12th year in business. I have 100% turned down every single offer to do that, because I just don't like the split in the relationship. Even that, like Adepticon, my favorite event, I don't like it. I don't like Gen Con. I turn them all down. But Kicker made me a pretty solid offer that was really fucking fair. And we're working something out really cool. We used the 101 curriculum in a, guided 6 to 8 hour course that is modified for people. And there's other stuff, that we're talking about, there's going to be, they want to have like a dope dedicated like hobby area where people are painting and maybe some famous painters are in there and shit like that. But they also played with the idea, and we're fleshing it out right now, of having a stream station in there so that they could be cutaways.
Oh, that would be really very dope.
Right? Mm-hmm. So imagine you're watching the championship games all weekend on Frontline Gaming, and you know how like in between rounds, it's just like typically a screen that says we'll be back soon for an hour.
Yeah.
Well, we were trying to figure out and problem solve like cutting away to the hobby stream in that room.
That's really smart.
Right? Where there'd be maybe you'd see Miniac or other, like some really famous people like Goobertown Hobbies show up in there and there was thoughts out. And so they
almost need their own channel doing that though the whole time.
That's
because you might just be
feel.
like, because it's like, I would want to like watch you, but maybe I'm watching a game. And I'm like, oh, this is a foregone conclusion. Like,
the more channels to flip through,
you know what?
I'm going to watch Kenny.
Just said something that might be one of the simplest solves, because right now we're hitting our head against a wall. I'm writing that down because right now it's like they want me to be a turnkey solution and bring my operation out there and kind of like be the producer / like, you know, stand and painter for it. And but I'm like, it's going to be hard to coordinate like that stream key access to like we're live in this cutscene, we're not live. We're live in this cutscene, we're not live, right? And I'm like, man, I'm hitting my head against the wall. I'm like, bro, what if we're just live the whole time on like my channel, Next Level Painting, or multi-stream across the board? And then Matt, Dice Check, whoever relationship they're handling the championship, what if they're just like screen grabbing me in between rounds?
Yeah, that's way easier.
Bro, you just broke this for me. Thank you, Mike.
The more channels you have, the higher retention you will receive.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, thank you. I'm just like, I think you solved this. Again, that's incredible. Now, LVOs, we said that's a big deal. I want to just put a footnote in there. Corn Berserker stuff in White Dwarf. Everyone knows they showed some pictures of that.
Forward to it.
So that'll be out next week with the Horus Heresy as well. If I had to guess, I would say the next week's probably GW release is going to be the Ash Waste stuff, or it could be the new chapter approved book. If they do tease that, then we'll see a bunch of previews next week for it. But still a lot of stuff on deck to come out for sure.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's do it. This is what we've been waiting for. We've got Mike Haspil here in studio. The floor is his for the Haspil's Corner. The return of Mike Haspil.
So yeah, I'm here to shill for the new book, Thonia's Reckoning, which is a tie-in. So some folks were asking earlier. It is a tie-in to this new Horus Heresy box set. That is, if you notice on the box set, it is Sons of Horus fighting Imperial Fists.
What?
But not everything in the book has to do with like Space Marines and what's going on. There's ganger stuff that's going on underneath Thonia's surface, and then there's like my story, which is all orbital. It is a space story that happens in orbit around Thonia, and it's called To the Last, and there shouldn't be a big guess if you guys know who I am where that comes from, but it kind of has a double meaning in the story. And it is about a captain, Rumiko Salakia, who is taking on a ridiculous number. She's very outnumbered and bashing her way through a bunch of traitors using her ship, the Ferrum Picatio. So it is my love letter to the kind of Age of Sail stories like Trafalgar, Master and Commander, and Star Trek II. And the title comes from a very famous line out of Moby Dick, "To the last I grapple with thee." And then what was hilarious is Gav Thorpe has a story in this same anthology that starts the next line, "For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee."
Oh my God. Was that just uncoordinated?
It was not coordinated.
Oh my God.
And so it was just really cool. I'm like looking at the table of contents. I'm like, no way. It's so cool.
That is serendipitous as hell.
but I really hope you guys like it. It is kind of a technical story. And in the sense that I say, if you like Battlefleet Gothic, if you like kind of Age of Sail, if you like Star Trek 2, the combat in Star Trek 2, I think you'll really like it. I sat around with a lot of models and stuff so that when you hear them call out bearings or, a course to a certain place or whatever where they're firing their weapons, all that is actually right. I figured all that out. So at one point I had all these Battlefleet Gothic models like strung out.
Oh, that is so fucking sick.
Trying to put them in a 3D space to see like what angle they would need to get to pull this off.
That's fucking awesome. I love that stuff. I mean, that's honestly like, what's the one we like? The Soul Hunter, Wyatt?
Oh yeah, the Night Lords.
Night Lords one?
Oh yeah.
The first whole part of that book is fucking space combat, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I was gonna like it because like I'm here for fucking chaos, like smashing ass. You know what I'm saying? Like just doing a thing. But then it's like we're here and hearing this like cerebral, like fucking genius level combat, and I was like sold, son. Like I was like, this is hype.
Yep.
So like I'm excited to read this.
Yeah, it's great. All the stories in there are really, really good. So definitely pick it up. I got the collector's edition yesterday. They shipped me my version. So it was like, it's super tight, and this was honestly a bucket list thing that I was like, I want my name inside a Black Library collector's edition. So now I got to come up with a new bucket list.
Oh God, that's amazing.
Well, I mean, like the next step is you got to have your own standalone.
Yeah. Next step is a standalone collector's edition. And then
there you go.
And we'll see.
I feel like you're uniquely equipped to pitch some Necron stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting though. It's like and I know people have recommended this book all day and I haven't gotten to it yet. I bought it and I haven't gotten to it yet. The Infinite and the Divine, but there was, and I don't remember the name of it now, but it was the book that accompanied the box set for Ninth. And the way they did the Necrons in that book was actually unbelievable. It was really, really cool. How they were like just super, super petty.
Would Necrons be your dream faction to write about?
No. I honestly don't know. I do know, but I can't say. So, because they offered me to write for a faction and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think I would really like to write for like Grey Knights.
Obviously.
And Space Wolves, which is a good segue, honestly, to one of the other things I wanted to talk about. And I was saying it before, like, you guys know me and I've been playing 40K or in one form or another since like 1989. So I really went in, I wouldn't say I was arrogant, but I would definitely say I was cocky, and it's like, hey, we would like you to write about this. And I do have some more stuff coming out from Black Library that's not published, that's in the pipeline, I will say, so it's still coming. But the first story I wrote hasn't been published yet, which is interesting. It was kind of an audition piece, and I'm very proud of it. It's not on the same level as To the Last. It's a lot more like fun, quote unquote. But I went in kind of cocky, going, yeah, I know all this. I played Necromunda. I played Mordheim. I played, all these Space Hulk, all these games. I know all this stuff. I know all this lore. And they're like, yeah, we need you to write about this. And I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Got him.
So you just have to do a lot of research. And that's one thing that has kind of surprised me is how much research I had to do for something I thought I already knew. So that's really kind of cool.
That's interesting because I feel like there's a parallel between that and your like day job writing.
Yes.
You're like, because you're literally a professional writer in your professional, like day job life, and also a professional writer in your Black Library capacity. But, you know, in the capacity that you've been writing professionally, like you are a master of researching things that you might not know all the facts on. And
yeah, I write, for those who don't know, I write business proposals. So it's like you may have to become an expert on something you have no idea about in like 2 weeks, and then try to convince whoever's reading that proposal that they should hire your company. Give you
and
the
you
job.
win at that. And so like to me, like, and I use it as an analogy sometimes for like why I want people to take my classes is because like I teach commercial art, which means get paid for art. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a track record of doing that successfully. So I just say, hey, like the facts are the facts. If someone will pay you for it, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like you have a track record of literally winning proposals and basically challenges of that exact thing. And so I feel like you are utterly uniquely suited for a gig in the Black Library because there's lore everywhere. You can't know it all, right?
You can't. It's you can't. And what's insane is they have people that work there that do. That'll be like, no, the eye lenses for this chapter are this color, like period. I'm like, holy crap! Like I never noticed that in all the books that I read. I never noticed that. But they know that, and they keep a real tight leash on the lore, on the IP. Like, and Rob will know about this because I tried to get away with this and they didn't let me, but I wanted to start one of the stories with somehow Horus returned.
Oh my God.
Taking a page from JJ, and that did not work. That is a joke. Of course, I wouldn't try to do that.
I probably circled that one real quick.
Yeah. There's more pressure than I thought there would be, and it doesn't come from Black Library. They're actually really great people to work with and just awesome. But there's a lot of pressure for everyone else, right? It's like, man, I really don't want to get this wrong. I want to get this right. I want people to love this story and this character and think that it's like the most baller thing they've ever read. And it's intimidating sometimes because you're just like, there's like, as a quick example, this special edition book that came out, they printed more copies of that than Graveyard Shift. So right away, I'm just kind of like, oh my goodness, like that's a reality check right there. It's definitely a step up. And you don't want to let people down. So
I don't think you're gonna let anybody down. You are a master practitioner of art. Like, so like, I think you have achieved mastery of your craft, and you do. And,
I hope so.
And you have paychecks that prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my point. It's like, so congratulations to you. It's been a lifetime dream.
Yeah.
Chthonia's Reckoning, Black Library on Audible. Probably you said it's going to be an audio release probably on the 18th, but like it'd probably be a few days to get it on Audible.
To get it on Audible, I don't know when they're releasing it on Audible, but it'll be out on the 18th.
I think it usually takes around like a month or so.
A month, maybe.
That's what it's felt like for all the other like Siege of Terror books.
And I have another story out there for Black Library called Amor Fati, which a lot of people missed because it came out. It came out like the 24th of December. Like,
the Christmas one. Short story.
And it's like, it is about gifts in a way, but it's about Eidolon and gifts of Slaanesh. And that was fun to write. That was really cool.
Shit, so you can, at this point, can you just like go on the Black Library and just like search authors, and there's like 2 titles now with your name on them?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Michael F. Haspil. Search that shit on Black Library, guys.
Yeah. And Amor Fati, I think it's retailing for like $3.99. It's on Amazon, but it's ebook only right now. It is also on Amazon. So if you wanted to get it on your Kindle, you can scoop that up. And it's a good read. It's short story. So that's fun. But yeah, to segue back when I was talking about wanting to write like Space Wolves, right? There's a movie out called The Northman, and I guess some people were saying that it's streaming for free on Peacock right now if you have Peacock. And what's that?
You can also rent it on Amazon.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, but it's not a movie for everybody. It's like if you took the 1982 John Milius Conan the Barbarian, added Shakespeare to it, and then remade it as an art film.
It's very. I didn't think I was gonna like it when I initially started watching it, and then I watched it. And I was like, this is actually like really well done and like really good. Like, my fear was that it would be too slow, that it would be kind of boring for most of it, and it was not. It was edge of your seat the entire time.
And there's a scene in there where there's like a shaman standing in front of a fire, and the berserkers are all like drinking. I almost want to say miod, because that's what it looked like. And they are starting to go berserk. And he's like telling them, like, this is for when you return to human form. And they're howling at the moon and just going crazy. I was like, you know what? If this is exactly, if the Space Wolves went, hey, let's put on a Shakespearean play, this is exactly what it would look like. Because they're like losing their minds. And then they show a Viking raid like right after that from these guys going berserk point of view. And they're wearing wolf pelts and stuff. And it's terrifying. It's
Is that the one with Skarsgård in it?
Yes.
Yeah. There's a part in that, like right at the beginning, where Skarsgård comes off of this wall and hits a dude on a horse. He's got an axe in each hand, and he's just shredded, just absolutely ripped and covered in blood. And he's stalking down this street, just murdering people. And you're just like, this is like one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. Because if you see that dude and he sees you, you're like, well, I had a good run. You're
joke's
not
on you, Skarsgård. I already shit my pants.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that was an excellent film. And then I haven't been able to go to the movies. I've been so busy, but I did make time to go see Top Gun. And if you guys haven't seen it,
on a scale of 1 Haspil to 10 Haspils, how many Haspils does Top Gun get?
like 15. I mean, the only criticism I have of it is at the end of the movie, if Maverick had woken up and he just kind of went, huh? And they were like, Mav, you've been in a coma since you crashed the Dark Star. All that was a dream. And he'd go, that was the best dream I ever had. Roll credits. I'd have been 100% okay with it.
You're so fucking ridiculous.
Because it's over the top. It is insane.
The last sequence is it kind of goes into what's the word? Like kind of like schlocky action hero type stuff, but it's still like you're so in it. Yeah. When it goes to that sequence, you're like, I am 100% down with this. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, when it got to that part, and we're trying not to spoil it because it is awesome. So it's like when I got to that part, I went, oh, this is Firefox now. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what's happening.
Did you, was there anything like technically that stuck out to you as like that can't happen?
A lot, but it wasn't from the flying side. And really? It's not like I'm a pilot. It was from the more military side. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That stuff is always going to stick out to us.
Yeah, because I was just kind of like, he shows up after he does this one thing, and it was pretty awesome. And and that's the thing is, every time I thought this thought, but I was just like, I was thinking, John Hamm, by the way, is utterly convincing as like a senior flag officer kind of jerk dickhead. Yeah. He was perfect. But I half expected, after Maverick did this one thing, I half expected him to see, here, the security police will escort you out. Like you're going to the brig, you're done. But again, you can talk your way out of it because he does stuff that they do at the beginning of the movie where he's a test pilot. And he does some stuff there that you're like, how is he able to get away with all this? Oh, because he's John Glenn. Because he's Neil Armstrong. He's like Chuck Yeager. He's a legend. He's literally doing stuff that is world record breaking. There's nobody else doing this stuff. So then when he's like talking trash to a 3-star admiral and you're like, how does he get away with this? It's like, because he's Chuck Yeager. Yeah. Because he's awesome. And he gets away with a lot.
I'll buy that.
The only other thing that like struck me, but I totally gave them a pass, was when they lay out the mission, which is very obvious, and you'd have to be blind to not understand where they got the mission from. It's literally like word for word from another movie. And
I thought, I was like, oh, so they're doing this. Okay.
Yeah, they're doing this. Like, okay. And they own it too. They're like, yeah,
they play it 100% serious. They're
seriously.
Just like, yep.
But when they're laying out the mission, they say something like they can't use the F-35s because of like some GPS jamming or something. And I was like, no.
It's because the Navy would not let them use F-35s.
Yeah. I'm like, the Navy won't let you use F-35s. You have to use F-18s. So I'll give it to you.
I mean, it cost them a lot of money because like the Navy was like, yeah, we'll let you, but this is how much it's going to cost. And they're like, well, let's make a spreadsheet to the second of how long we get to use these jets, because I think it was like $11,000 a minute.
Yeah.
For each jet. And they have like 5 of them. Yeah.
And it's, and the other main reason is I don't think there are any two-seater F-35s. No. So if you want to have the actors in the jets pulling the G's, you got to use a two-seater. Which
do only the F-18 trainers have 2 seats?
No. So it's the FFA-18 is the variant with 2 seats. And
fighter attack.
Yeah, it's because that one does have that laser designator module. And so the way they use in the film is very similar to what they actually do on missions. They have like a single seater, which is he's the trigger man. And they have the double seater, which is sort of like their pseudo AWACS guy and laser designator.
Mm-hmm. So
I find myself really intrigued by all that stuff. It's almost like I'm going to quit 40K soon and do historicals.
But I would highly encourage anybody who even has a passing interest, don't wait to see this at home. Go to the theater with the biggest, baddest sound system ever. See it there. There's a sequence at the end where they're flying into not Russia or Iran.
Yeah, that was one of the cool things I noticed. Like in the first Top Gun, they never actually say who the enemy is.
Yeah.
They're never named. And they do the exact same thing in this movie. Where it's just like, this is the enemy. They have 5th gen fighters. Don't fuck around with them.
Yeah. And you don't need to know any more than that. But when they're flying in there underneath the bridge and all this stuff, there's just something to be said to know that that's not CG, that there are real pilots flying low level in formation over this terrain, and it's real. And that's just badass.
Yeah. I think the only CG was the, oh God, I can't remember it actually is a 5th gen Russian fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they called like a criminal or some shit?
Oh, I don't know. I figured the SAMs were CG because
SAMs are probably CG. It's like an SU-51.
They probably weren't shooting missiles at people.
It has a really weird name. Like you're like, that's the name you guys went with? Because it's like a pseudonym for criminal.
And I honestly think I don't know. I think that movie might be PG-13.
It is, and they use their one
and
F word.
It's such a good, it's the perfect F word time to use it. It was perfect. And then of course, anybody who's Gen X, if you're a guy, Jennifer Connelly.
Oh yeah, it's the felon. It's the SU-57 felon. I'm like, okay, Russia. You're gonna go with that for your 5th gen fighter? Right.
Yeah, I went in my Jennifer Connelly story last week and why she's so important to me. But yeah.
Was it because of career opportunities?
Oh no, it's a real Kenny story.
Oh, because there's a movie out there called Career Opportunities, which introduced Jennifer Connelly to an entire generation of Gen X. And just Google Jennifer Connelly horse career opportunities. You're welcome.
Thank you for that. I will incorporate that into my story in my game plan in the future.
She's extremely young in that scene, so you may feel dirty.
Yeah, well, I feel dirty all the time. So,
and when I mean like extremely young, she's like 18. So it's an old movie. You know, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah. Jennifer Connelly was one of my favorites. So Top Gun is tight. Go see it in a 4D movie theater.
Yes, if you can.
If you can. Or 3.5 Ds like Mike did.
Or 3.5 Ds.
Yeah. Oh, and also if you guys after hours content coverage, Mike went into a story about how Top Gun changed his life. And it's a good story.
Before the after hours.
It's literally a very complex and complete story with characters, comic relief, everything. And then at the end, it's like, and that's all because of Top Gun.
Because of that damn volleyball scene.
Oh, is there a volleyball scene in a new one?
There is not, but
there's
a
football scene.
Yes, it's a game I actually would like to play. Would they call it like dogfight football?
Mm-hmm.
Where you play offense and defense at the same time. So there's two balls and you're playing against one another.
Yeah, they were.
That's gangster.
They were in fact juggling 2 balls. So it was just as.
I mean, that's the way you do it.
Tight. Well, that makes me happy. What a legendary experience to go see it on the big screen. Like, I feel like I have to go see it in the big screen. I was like debating it, but I think you guys talked me into it.
Nah, you have to. You have to see it on the big screen.
It's worth it. Like, that was the first time I got into a movie by myself in a long time because I just truly enjoy like the movie experience with friends. And I was like, I can't wait. So I went for like a lunch showing. I was like, this is the best.
Did they have Danger Zone in it?
Oh yeah. Like without getting into spoilers, this is such the director that did this. I really like because he's the guy who did like Tron Legacy. Mm-hmm. I think he's worked with Tom Cruise before too. He did that sci-fi. Oh, it starts with an O. I can't remember it now.
Oblivion.
He did that movie too.
That was a good one.
The first 5 minutes of this Top Gun Maverick, I almost felt like, is the theater pranking us? Are they playing the 86 Top Gun?
Because it's the exact same title card in the same font and everything.
Everything is the same. And then you when it gets to Danger Zone and you're like, oh, those are not F-14s on the carrier. So it's really well done. I mean, it's got all the nostalgia. It pays tribute to when it needs to pay tribute. I bawled with the Val Kilmer. I was like, man, this is rough. I wasn't expecting that, but it is really just solid, just all around really good. It's targeted towards men, but it's a 4-quadrant movie and we haven't seen that in a long, long time. And one of the things I liked was Tom Cruise introduces the movie. And I know he's controversial and a lot of people don't like him, but he wasn't like trying to say a message or using the movie as a platform or anything. He literally introduces it and is like, hey, we worked on this for a really long time. Hope you like my movie. Enjoy. That was it. And I was like, that's pretty awesome.
That is really awesome. Thank you. You have convinced me to go see it in theaters.
Yes.
You have achieved that result, and I will go see it in theaters, and I will see Jennifer Connelly, and I will let you know how I feel about it. And I will also offer a full critique on my 4D experience while juggling balls.
That's what we really want to know.
All right. Let's cut into our meat and potato segment, guys. Anyone who's listening to the podcast on their way home from work or the way to work, the title tonight will not disappoint. It is New GW Rumors Got Me Quitting 40K. We're a lot of viewers here tonight offering a lot of insights. A lot of people on the internet have been talking about these rumors. And it did also come to my attention that some people didn't know about these rumors. Auspex.
Impossible.
Right. Auspex Tactics just put out a video, I think, this morning. Rob has been sitting on these rumors. I
put this out a couple of days ago, I think.
For days, yeah. And so this is, I'll read them out real quick just so everyone knows what we're talking about, who's listening to this, and I don't have to like pause and go watch Auspex Tactics on YouTube. So this is in reference to the rumors about the new chapter approved, the Nephilim Warzone changes for match play, GT, shenanigans, everything. And let me just also remind you guys that GW did announce that you're not going to be paying for points anymore. That points will be a digital free download.
Finally.
Something that Rob's been saying for literally 20 years. So
the prophesied day has arrived.
So understand that GW is moving forward toward a evolving balanced system that can change with like seasonally. And so the Nephilim changes, and here are the big cliff notes that we have been circulating. For secondaries, no more to the last or stranglehold. Banners, raise the banners high, no longer requires an objective to be completely clear to raise the banner. Psychic interrogation. If the psychic test is greater than or equal to the leadership characteristic of the character, you gain a CP. Okay, big deal. Engage on all fronts, which is a very classic one. Requires you to be more than 6 inches away from a board edge or a table quarter. Every Space Marine chapter and Chaos Space Marine Legions is going to get their own individual secondaries. Titan Hunter is now tied to Big Game Hunter, which is really cool change. So that means you get 1 point for 9 or less wounds on something you kill, 2 for 10 or 14. You get 3 points for 15 and 19, and 4 for a 20.
Oh,
so,
nice. Okay.
Pretty fucking cool. Most faction secondaries, this is kind of editorialized, but like most faction secondaries seem to be scoring 8 to 12 on average, and it's going to be difficult to get that perfect 15. Kind of seeming like getting those perfect high 90, 100-point games is going to be more difficult. And here's the ones that got everyone quitting. We're done. We're quitting 40K. We're going to historicals. The changes to command points. Starting CP, 6, not 12.
Yeah,
6.
that's an ouchie.
And you gain 1 command point per player turn, which means 2 per battle round.
Which was actually confirmed by GW.
Yes.
They said you get 1 additional per round,
Yes.
which is basically that's the way to do it, right?
And warlord traits and relics must now be bought with these stratagems, and you don't get 1 free for having a warlord or a relic for free. So that's the last bit I just said are what's really got a lot of people.
I would like to see, the special characters not have to pay that 1 CP for their warlord trait. It's like included as part, because it always seems like there's a little bit of a points tax on like the big baddies, right? So like that'd be cool to see. And then everybody making these bespoke, generic, not really smash captains anymore, but whatever you want to call them.
Well, let's start there then. Let's go backwards.
Yeah, let's go backwards.
Let's start with relics and warlord traits are no longer free in a environment where you only have 6 command points. Rob has already begun the discussion with how are our special characters going to ride, right? How are the people who come with a preloaded, or maybe not preloaded is the right word in every capacity, but a non-negotiable
Assigned.
set of warlord traits. Real quick, Mortarion, as an example, has 3. Magnus has 2. You don't get to pick those. They're in his line
That'd be
data.
wow.
Now, Dante, for example, he has 1, Heroic Bearing, but you have to click him as your warlord, and then you also have to go and say, I also want Heroic Bearing. He can actually just be your warlord and not have Heroic Bearing, or not be your warlord. So there's 2 different examples of special character with selectable or non-selectable warlord traits. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think they're going to force us to pay 3 command points for Mortarion and 1 for Dante? Something in between?
People
Not
would
at
be
all.
so mad.
The GW cynic in me says yes, but I feel like if you're paying like 400 something points for those guys, you kind of deserve to also have their warlord traits.
And also they're different, right? Mortarion's just, it's in his line data. It's like, pow. Dante's isn't. It says when selected as your warlord trait, he has to pick this, right? So it's possible Dante would have to buy his warlord trait and people like Mortarion wouldn't, or no special character would have to.
Also, they're unique in that they are Primarchs.
Yeah. I would be in favor of no special character having to pay for it. And that's what makes them special. Like they're named, it's Dante. It's not just Captain so-and-so who happens to lead Blood Angels, whatever company. It's Dante.
I agree with you. I would prefer that, not only because I feel like I'd like some CP, like obviously I want some more CP, but also I like the idea of them encouraging us to take a look at some of these baller characters. Wyatt's been talking about all day. We did this in Tactics. We did this in the pregame show. We've talked about this multiple times, and I agree with Wyatt. He says it'd be sick to see.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, what gets you into a faction, right? Like their look, their lore, and their characters.
They're duders, yeah.
Yeah, like if I'm going to go World Eaters, like how can you go World Eaters without Karn the Betrayer on the table, right? Like how can you play Black Legion without Abaddon or Red Corsairs without Huron Blackheart?
You have so many options that are more optimized than them that do similar things.
Yeah, and like I've hated that for so long because I'm like, this guy is my guy. Like he's so cool, but because I'm playing in a tournament, I have to go for like the most optimal loadout, which is this like captain with like 2 warlord traits and this 1 relic, and spending certain strategies.
And that captain will still fuck because I'll give him this stuff and that stuff, so he fucks just about as hard as Karn, and so
or more so. And I feel like that's kind of the issue. I think that like your characters should be like, you should want to take them over the generic one because they're the coolest thing in your book.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
but nobody does.
I think GW might be doing that. You know what I'm saying?
That's what my hope is.
Here's my evidence.
Yeah.
We have all seen the Chaos Rumors, and it's been circulated for about a month. And a thing that has become talked about a lot is that the Chaos Lords have no options. They can change out their melee weapon, and their gun. They don't get jump packs, nothing. Right? So currently Chaos Space Marine Lord can take jump pack and all that shit, but the bikes are legends, but they don't make jump packs, but they're not legends, right? So it's interesting that we can do these highly customizable captains and lords, but right now they're saying you can't. Almost to Wyatt's point, almost saying like if you want a 80-point lord, you're buying him and you're going to put a lightning claw on his ass and maybe a relic, but you're really just trying to save, 70 points, right? So I absolutely feel like that is evidence to Wyatt and Haspil's point that I think they're going to break loose on some of these characters, and like we're going to start seeing more of them play, because one of the things is that you don't have to pay for that warlord trait. So you get a cool thing, maybe not the one you think is most optimized, but it's a thing that comes with your cool guy. And most special characters are pretty fucking ballin'. It's just that.
Yeah.
And they're re-releasing that new figure too for Lucius. So that's because people are going to want to play with him.
Yeah. And so going back to the spreadsheet, so we just covered warlord traits, relics, and what that can mean for the game. Now, obviously, a lot of people have talked about it and give us some insight. Like warlord traits and relics are probably one of the most important parts of army construction right now.
Yeah.
Especially in the new 9th edition books, like the buffs, the add-ons, and the unlocks that they give you are very powerful. Okay. I spend 3 command points most of the time for most of my armies, minimum, for that. Like, and I feel like I have more than enough to do that, right? So there's some factions that get hit even harder by that. Like a lot of people have been talking AdMech. Ooh, they spend a lot of points on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, that's a concern, acknowledged. We'll summarize, but 1 CP per battle per turn. How do you guys feel about that?
I think that's really good because it gives you the option of defense, even if you go second. Because one of the things they talked about is that the dreaded thing with list building right now and just the game in general is like getting wombo comboed like turn 1, right? And if you don't get that extra CP, it feels bad because you're like already bleeding CP before you even get a chance to play the game. And so if I get one on your turn and I get one on my turn, then that alleviates some of that stuff. And it kind of keeps you in the game for longer, which I think is overall better for both players.
Yeah.
I agree. And it delays stuff too. So maybe the other guy does get his wombo combo off, but it happens in turn 3 instead of turn 1.
So let's talk about 6 command points. This is what people are mad about, right? So like all of this, and we only have 6 command points to build our army, right? And this has got people triggered on the internet, okay? And so what that initially tells us, and we could speculate, and we could also infer that battalion. Right? Battalion seems good because it's 0 when your warlord's in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you're going to have to dedicate to your battalion. And so it's going to be more difficult than before to multi-detach. Now, if you go all the way back to 8th launching, the big mistake they made, even though it was cool that we moved in this direction, 8th edition was awesome, was they were giving us resources for 4 detachments, right? We had to limit to 3 detachments. Triple battalion was 18 command points. I mean, shit was ridiculous, right? The best thing in 9th edition was that they said, no, you buy detachments, you expend resource. So it already changed how, like, even like having a triple detachment isn't really that isn't common now. Right?
So we're moving into this like new era of 40K where these organized play books are kind of the standard that a lot of people want to play by. You're not bound by any law to play them unless you're actually at a tournament, but that's kind of what everybody wants to do. They want to play these books. We're all unified. We're all using them. Fantastic. And we're moving into like a seasonal change. And I think this is the best way to change the game and keep things fresh and kind of backdoor balance the game without causing any like major feel bads to people, right? Because when you really get down, you think about it, this is just an organizational change to the lists. Like the models that you have, their rules haven't been changed. Your army rules haven't been changed. Everything still works. It's just they're limiting the amount of resources.
Points probably haven't changed.
Yeah, the points haven't changed. I mean, like they're going to change because it's chapter approved because we're moving into a new season.
We're going to get our balance update. Yeah,
it's minimal. It's like small here and there, right? But if you have this cool character that you poured your blood, sweat, and tears in and hobbied your butt off, he still can hit the table just fine. Like they still can do all the same things they could before. It's just going to cost you a little bit more resource to be able to do that thing. But that's alleviated by over the course of the game, you gaining more CP.
That's a fact, man. And it's so we're looking at less detachments, right? 1 to 2 detachments has become common. 3 was rare. 3 was very common back in the day. And what they're saying is like, hey, why don't we just say you have less CP to do what you want to do? So you can't skew as hard. You can't say like right now, like Vanguard plus I have a Vanguard and an Outrider for my Blood Angels, right? That's 6 CP.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's rough. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people are like, you know, hey, people don't have good troop choices. They can't play battalions. They're out of the game. Look, man, I feel very confident with my Blood Angels with 0 CP. Because Dante, my special character that I wanted to take anyway, is super hype and gives me a command point for being my warlord. And I can still buy the warlord trait I want, which is Rites of Battle for my priest. I have to make 1 sacrifice on a relic, but I can do everything I want to do in a game as I've been scheming because I get 2 CP a turn. I get 1 as soon as the game starts, whether I go first or not. I'm fine. I'm confident going in with no battalion still with my skew list. I feel like I can still get the job done. And if let's say I can't do that, I've already started scheming on ways to make it work by shifting to a different detachment. Everything I still have is playable. Everything still fucks just as hard as it fucked yesterday. You know, and this is a really awesome way to play the game is because when you play a video game for, let's say, a year, and then you've already maxed it out, what you really hope from the next update is the game gets harder.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, like, you're playing Dark Souls. When you finish the game, you're like, that was an amazing experience. Let's do New Game Plus. New Game Plus 2, plus 3. You know, like Diablo with the progressive levels of harder and harder generated dungeons and everything else. Like that's what people live for when you're in the end game, right? And that's kind of what competitive play is for 40K. Like that's the end game. That's the raid content that we all live for, right? And it's just like even at the most casual level, you have people that are like, but I want to do end game content because that's like the cool kids club. That's what everybody wants to do. So even though it's a beer and pretzels game, they want the organization and the points and the mission types of the organized playbook. And so anytime this happens, you just have to really look at it objectively. And it's like, it's just an organizational change. And your battle plan is slightly different of like, okay, this is how I need to score points. This is how I need to kind of maneuver my army to do these secondaries a little bit differently than they were before. But all your models and rules are still valid, man. Like nothing changed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I have a lot of speculation on how this is going to change the flavor of the game too. But
it'll change some stuff.
Yeah, something I want to harp on for just a second. This is kind of my hot take because, like, I was triggered by a lot of the people getting triggered on the internet. Normally, I'm very, like, yeah, man, everyone's worst day is the worst day. I get you, bro. Like, I validate like a motherfucker. But like, after a solid week of interacting and talking to people, some of my students and stuff like that, I've come to this, and here's the cliff notes of like what I've come to realize. A lot of people were before 40K, and I think Wyatt's point makes a lot of sense. This like raid content. A lot of people want to do raid content, but they're like at the beginning of their journey. You know, if you get into this game and then you read a book. Let's say you read Chthonia's Reckoning, and you get super fucking hype on something in that book, right? And you're like, this is it. This is what I'm fucking doing. And then you spend months scheming, talking to people, doing all the right things, right? Getting into communities and stuff, collecting and scheming and collecting, and you're watching battle reports. But like, if you haven't pulled the trigger, you haven't launched the project, you haven't done anything yet. And a lot of people are in a failure to launch state in that position that Wyatt mentioned. Like, you know, you want to do raid content and to be in a cool kids club, right? But you haven't even started the game yet, right? If you're in a failure to launch state, and that means you've got boxes that you haven't even opened yet. That means you've got models you've built but haven't even put primer on yet. That means you have models with primers on that you put paint on some of them.
Why are you attacking me?
Yeah. Triggered.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Right? We brought you on just for this.
That means you have failed to launch. And you're only in a fail to launch state if this is your first collection, typically.
Yeah. No, it's 100% true, man.
And so the longer you wait to launch, the more triggered you seem to be based on my interactions. And this is all, you know, just me talking to people. It's very anecdotal, but I've talked to some of these people and brought this point up to them. They're like, man, I think you're right. Like I don't know what to do. The sky's falling. It's like, well, what about your custodies, bro? Like you've schemed it like for a year. Well, you know, this, that, and this. And I'm like, you waited for this nerf, this buff, this update. I was like, bro, if you just pulled the trigger and painted 3 true choices and 2 HQs and some dreadnoughts like a year ago, we started talking about this.
Yeah.
Who cares how optimized it is? You know how easy it is to shift with any change as a tournament player when you already have your core built?
Mm-hmm. It
ain't nothing. I watched Haspil build like that whole crazy Blood Raven list. You know, like, I mean, like, Grey Knights, new Grey Knights comes out. Like, and you're like, I got to add these 3 things. You know what I mean? Like, just launch the product, right? Make it happen. Get it going today. It's going to be mostly battalions now. So, hey, pick 3 dope troop choices or 1 of each, whatever. Who cares? Paint them up. Get your 2 HQs. Pick that special character. Get them done. Get some of your favorite shit done from the other detachments. Fill out your battalion. And then it's nothing, man. Every time Death Guard changed, I was like, oh, gotta paint 3 dreadnoughts.
Yep.
Oh, no. I hate painting models and hobby, and on this hobby I devoted my life to. So,
nah, I just want a bitch.
Right? And so I just tell people to just, you know, think about that for a second. If you've got just a room full of like partially completed projects.
Yeah. And I would add something else too, because this is something that has come to the forefront for me right now, just because I don't have a lot of time. But the local game stores where you're buying all this stuff, they would prefer that you buy your core and then occasional units spread out throughout the year rather than buying your entire army all at once. Right? Because they got to pay the bills the whole year and not just like all at once. So when the new Horus Heresy thing dropped, I was like, I want all the things, right? I want them all. And I'm forcing myself to just buy the box set. Now I did buy all the other crap, the bookmark and the dice and all the stuff that I know.
You got the transfer sheets, the
transfer sheets, all that stuff. I did buy all that stuff. But when I'm getting the box set, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have a rough time painting the box set, like finding time to paint that. So I don't need to go out and buy a Sicarian and a Kratos and the other additional Mark III and Mark IV guys and all that stuff that I want. It doesn't make sense for me to buy it right away. And this is going to sound like heresy coming from me, because all they're going to do is sit in my closet, in my basement, in the shrink wrap for years.
Yeah, you make a good point, Mike. And that's also good advice too on how to launch a project, because I have noticed doing that, like letting that addiction motivate our purchasing habits, is very much the culprit for failing to launch. Because now that's the feeling of being overwhelmed comes from that. Seeing the stacks of stuff that you bought, feeling the anxiety of like, I should be working on those models, you know, all of that, it comes from that. So it's a strong strategy to just, and also it helps game stores, as you mentioned, to buy as you need, helps sustain them a little bit, but also helps sustain you and get your project going. Never forget what you want. Always keep your eye on the prize, right? Now, that doesn't always work, right? Like you're going to have your core, your Necrons are looking sick, but then let's say, after this nerf, then that buff, then this nerf, and now finally these command points, like you're just like, you know what? I'm tired of trying to make these guys work. Well, time to launch a new project. And then before you know it, you have another core crew made from another project. And then within a year, you have a backup force. So then as the years, move, it's like the analogy, right? What's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago? Second best day? Today.
Yeah.
So move forward on that. Because not every army is in favor. Right? Like sometimes you're just waiting for a codex. That's the name of the game. Well, fall back on the Necrons. Fall back on this. Wait for the new guard deck to drop. Like, it's not even remotely a bad thing. This is 100% a good thing. And no one's even talking about the healthy changes to the secondaries. They're all just caught up on these 6 command point problems.
Yeah, dude, the secondary changes is probably, at least to me, it's the biggest one because secondaries are very contentious. And they have been for a while. Like you can have a book that is as great as the Tyranid Codex, and because none of their secondaries are a free, effortless 15, people are like, these secondaries are trash. They're not even worth taking. Right. And that is a holdover in mentality from the years and years of how we used to play the game with the the ITC Champs Pack, where it was like anything that wasn't like one thing that caters to my army's playstyle, be it killy or board control, and then 2 things where they're passive AF and they just give me max points, like engineers. Like everybody took engineers in every single game. We built every single list that we did where we had 2 engineer units, and that was just the way of things, right? And that's just carried over into this era where it's like, well, unless I have a free secondary like Oath of Moment or to the last,
or passive ones like engage in all fronts and things like that. Things that don't require you to engage with it. It's funny. It's called engage on all fronts, but it's like the opposite of engaging.
Yeah, it's like existing on all fronts.
It's existing on all fronts.
Unless you have that, then like people just don't even want to take them. Like they're bad, right? So I would rather go into what this book is looking like, which is you have to fight, you have to engage, you have to strive for these secondary objectives, because when you're playing it, it feels good because you're in control, you're dominating, you're winning the game. Like when I'm playing Grey Knights and I do Psychic Ritual and I get 6 points in a turn because they don't have any psychers, I'm like, my dick just grew 3 inches right now. This is awesome. But when I'm playing against Grey Knights and they do that to me, I'm like, this is the fucking worst. I hate this. Why is this existing in the game? Right? It's this huge roller coaster of deal. Yeah. Like, so those need to be adjusted. And from what they're saying, like, every single faction is going to have bespoke secondaries that are being adjusted. Some are going to get harder. Some are going to get easier. So for people that are like, my secondaries are ass, well, maybe all of a sudden those secondaries are a lot easier to achieve, which lets you kind of hang with the big dogs.
Let's talk about the 3 big ones. Okay. They said no more Stranglehold, no more To the Last. Now let's talk about earlier. We said like, there's going to be a new way to play the game. Wyatt already is like, I feel like I can engage you more. There's going to be some more fights. Well, Stranglehold, coincidentally, when we went to California team tournament, one of my biggest takeaways was like gearing for Stranglehold, real good.
Yeah.
Right. And so, because if 3 out of 5 missions have a set objective and you are set up to do Stranglehold, not like, well, I guess I'll do Stranglehold. You have thought about it. And that's something you do in 3 out of 5 missions. It is really hard to fucking win. Like, it's almost like if I pick Stranglehold and you don't in those 3 missions, I am going to win. You can't stop me. Like every moment that we're fighting over who wins primary objectives, right? Over that 3rd centerpiece, every time I win that war, I get also my Stranglehold point. And I got the Stranglehold point before we even had a fight over it. Every turn I could just feed something to it. And I was like, yo, that's my big takeaway. Then Matt's big takeaway from Dice Check was ways to exploit To the Last. And you can actually see him explaining To the Last in our recent battle report, which is actually out on YouTube right now, in this gangster play where he's just playing Harlequins. And like, I get the Void Weaver squad down to 1 wound and he just like CP vanishes and they don't have to show up until the last turn. Yeah. And then he took the 2 characters that were To the Last and ran them in this like last gambit into this transport and vanished that from the table. and then they show up on turn 5, you go second, 15 points, right? He's like, so he implemented what his thoughts on his takeaways, and I implement mine, and they're both gone. They're both gone. Fuck those. Like, that forces us into a very like fight on your triangle side of the table and never leave it. Stop.
Instead of it's more like a proactive like pitch battle than like an asymmetrical sort of thing.
Yeah,
and
you never have to leave that zone, and you can just play out of that zone the whole time. But me and Wyatt said today, Rob, in tactics, when's the last time, and I'm sure Haspil will get on with this, when was the last time you ever remember, Mike, of like just running across the table, tying up their whole army and just fucking owning them?
Like 7th.
You know what I'm saying? We used to.
It's been a while.
You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since like that mechanic played out where you're like, got there, tied this multi-charge, fuck, get fucked. You know what I mean? We haven't been playing that way because we're not incentivized to play that way.
Yeah, it's where like the concept of like trading became really popular. It was with this new era of stuff where it's like, all I have to do is just like take the objective on my turn and I score Stranglehold. I know you're going to kill that unit or 2 units, but I got 2 more that are going to replace them. And then 2 more on the next turn, and then 2 more on the next turn, or whatever it might be, where it's easy. And it's just sort of like this weird order of operations, like because I went first and I can touch those objectives first, and I get this 3-point lead, and I'm going to score 15 because I have the correct number of units to trade every turn. It's just like, you're not really playing a game. You're just kind of like shoving stuff up and they're dying and then you're replacing them like over and over again.
I play Warhammer 40K because I like to engage, and I've kind of lost track of that, and because I will ultimately play how I'm incentivized to play to win. But I kind of miss that. Like, I miss how we used to force engagements, you know?
Yep.
And I feel like the removal of Stranglehold, the removal of To the Last, the change to engage in all fronts, forcing us to be much closer to our opponent than we're comfortable with while trying to passively steal quarters. Right. And raising the banners, right? I thought when Raise the Banners came out and when 8th dropped, or when 9th dropped, I was like, that's for some reason I felt like that was the name of the game, like Raise the Banners. And I love that they're saying that, like, just by being near me doesn't stop me from going for the raise, right? If I control the objective, I can raise the banner. Get good, scrub. So I love, because raising the banners is a gangster one, right? That's like, you can go and you can raise banners and like, they can come back and take them right back from you, and you're raising banners. So I love this idea of like raising banners being really popular. Hard to stop someone from doing unless you devote resources to stop them. But we're not in this little triangle anymore, and we're forcing engagements to try to stop raising the banners, because you can't just send a land speeder over there and be like, I'm here now, you can't raise the banners.
No, you have to engage them.
Like, fuck you, land speeder. We're raising this banner. Like, oh, fuck, I really thought I was going to scare you out that. Turns out, and think about the land speeders just flying by like supersonic. Don't raise that banner. I'm serious, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yo, you can't just do that now. Like, and so I think 100% with this way the CPE are going to work, the way we have to think about the long game, the changes to our skewed list construction, and the way they're messing with secondaries is going to lead to a more engaging experience in this season. Okay, and let's say I'm wrong.
See that?
Okay, I was wrong. We have another season after this season. Then another season.
Yeah.
Like, where the game continuously evolves in a way that doesn't change the nature of your model's ability to function on the table, but the way we play the game against each other. It's 10 out of 10, man. 10 Haspils out of 10.
I don't agree with the constant books, having to spend $100 a year to do this, but I like the progression, and I like it getting better and getting more dialed in. Me personally, I just wish they would charge us, $100 to do it. But we're getting there. We got points for free.
Points for free. It's like you always say. It takes them 18 months to do anything.
Yeah.
And here, maybe, and I think there's a floodgate, guy. You know what I mean? Like, we have seasonal GT books, balance updates, and now free points. This shit's happening. Something Kara Quinn said, I feel like needs to be mentioned. I wish we would go back to when you get tabled, 0 points. Like, you're right. I used to hate that rule. But now that I've lived in a world where that is not a rule, I realize I'm, again, not incentivized for engaging with you.
Yeah.
Like, come and
we're playing Warhammer 40K. Like in the grim darkness of the far future, there's only war. Not in the grim darkness, there is only like kind of mill about in the same vicinity as your enemies. You know what I mean? Like, we need to get stuck in. We need to.
I want to know that if I feel like I'm getting outclassed by this guy's maneuverability, that maybe I can table it and still win.
Mm-hmm. I like games. Every game should be the Super Bowl. Every game should be engaging. It should be the Super Bowl in my mind. Yeah. And I, we talked about this in the pregame. Like, I just don't care to keep up with all these changes. Like, I just don't. Not when I can just grab this card pack.
Yeah,
and just
and like
stuff.
You don't have to. Like,
right. And I can still have fun with this.
Yeah.
I can play just like really cool balanced like lists and have fun. I got my cores in there. I got my custody.
Thank you for bringing that up, Rob.
I got, to that point. And I don't have to tweak for a secondary or whatever.
To that point, because that is a really good point, because you should do what makes you happy. Like if you love Warhammer and organized play is making you a sad boy, don't play organized play, right? You don't have to. There's no reason you have to. Unless you're physically at a tournament, you don't have to do it. And then that procs the argument of like, well, that's what my community wants to do. They only want to play match play. In which case I would say, like, sometimes you have to be your own advocate, right? Like if you are a fun, charismatic, enjoyable person to be around, people will want to hang out with you and they'll want to do what you want to do. And so it's like, if your jam is like Tempest of War, like that's what you want to play, then be your own hype man. Like tell people the cool things about Tempest. Don't whine about what you don't like. Be hype on what you do like. And people will they will gather around that will respond well to that.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're that guy that's like, I fucking hate tournament play. Tournament players are the worst. Match play is stupid. Only like whack players and lunkheads play that shit. You're a negative Nancy right now. Nobody wants to be around you. Right. But if you're like, hey guys, have you seen this Tempest thing? Like, it's so cool. Like you can still be competitive, but it's not exactly the same as organized play. And they don't update it as much. So you don't have to pay as much for rules changes. They have all these cool cards. Every game is unique and different. Like you have to sell it. You just have to be your own hype man.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
But
telling someone that the way they're playing is stupid and that's why they should play your way is never going to work.
What? Yeah, but
yeah.
I
no, that's why Rob's point is so good. He's like, literally, I don't have the time for this. Therefore, I don't care.
But I respect it. I do respect how they're dialing it in, how they're making it better. I really like that. I like to see that. I thought Chapter Approved was a great idea from the get-go for the points updates, and more rules clarifications. What I didn't like was that it charged $50. And I think a lot of people are kind of right there with me where, hey, now you got all these supplements and now you got to spend, get the 2 chapter approves a year. It's a lot. And it's a lot to keep up with. I don't care. So I'm not gonna. I mean, I'll cover it for spiky bits and all that. And I'll be able to look at the table and be like, oh, that's that. And all that's that, whatever. Like, but me personally,
I think that's the healthiest way to approach it. Like, instead of like, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I refuse to play these rules. You're just like, no, I can't do a new project right now. I can't do a new, but I still want to play. So turns out GW made all these dope cards, son.
Yeah. 1 billion ways to play. You can play 40K in so many different ways, man. They're all fun.
Yeah.
I would say to your point, like, do I enjoy having to spend $30 every 6 months for these books? Like, not really.
But will I?
I also recognize that like my passion is going to events, being social, competing in these tournaments. Like I honestly don't care if I go 0-6 or 6-0. Like my fulfillment is playing at a competitive level because I have a competitive spirit and like meeting people and seeing people. Like I have friends all over the country because of tournaments. Right. And that's my thing. And I just accept that part of the cost that incurs is my time, energy, and money. And if I have to spend $30 every 6 months, I'm pretty okay with that because that's pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. And it's just been getting better. I mean, the balance, I mean, it's just, this is just not something to be sad about is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And if it isn't for you, find another way to play that makes you happy, or find another tabletop miniatures game that makes you happy. There's plenty of stuff out there. There's Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's super dope. There's Legion, getting really cool reboots and really cool faction added in, all the bounty hunters and stuff. Now we got Ewoks coming out for them. there's all sorts of games out there that maybe that'll be for you.
Yeah.
Don't just quit. Like
that's one of the things I really liked. And initially I did not like this of the new Kill Team, because the new Kill Team used to be like the gateway into 40K. It used the same rules. It just had tweaked rules, right? Yep. This Kill Team is a different game.
It is.
But you can use the same models. You can use the same factions that you already like. Only you might only need 5 guys or 6 guys, since they gave the Grey Knights an extra dude. But it's like I've been playing Kill Team a lot more just because of the time. I don't have time, but I can play a Kill Team game in 30 minutes to an hour. And still get the same rush, still have the same hobby stuff and everything. It's like there are so many different ways of playing this now. And then Horus Heresy, right? It's like I know I'm lured over there right now by the prospect of not having to keep up.
Yeah, and I think that's always been a very big appeal, because these people, that would play Heresy, you didn't really have to change that much. Maybe you want to collect another army, maybe you want to ally in, some Auxilia or some, Mechanicum, whatever, and it was great because you could just keep building, and, it was really cool, and it just didn't change as much. You didn't have to keep up with it. And I think that's going to be one of the better ways. If you're really into Space Marines, you want to play with Space Marines, and you want to, there's a specific chapter or legion, I guess, at that point that's yours, then definitely check out Horus Heresy, because it might be more your speed. That's it.
Indeed. Indeed.
Rob's like a 3rd grade.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Nothing about this stops you from enjoying your hobby.
Yeah.
So don't let it.
Exactly.
It's, and I feel like that's like just so true, Rob. Thank you. And also, we had Haspil on tonight, guys. Don't forget the Chthonia's Reckoning.
Yeah. And for real, like, we need to get into AT-43.
Facts.
That's another good.
I'm with it, man.
Yeah, because, in the end of the day, we're quitting 40K because it's just too much, So, historical games all the way. We're going to go to historical conventions because they're super fun.
There's a lot of crossover.
Oh, so much. Like, I just love.
No, there is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The best kind of crossover for sure. It's definitely not annoying. All right, Rob. I feel like we knocked this one out of the park, and we do have Mike Haspil here. Oh my God, we have Haspil is closing stuff.
He could.
Ooh.
That's almost like butt stuff, but better.
Do you have anything for us, Haspil?
I might. Yeah. Son, your ego is cashing checks your body can't cash. You've been busted. You've lost your qualification for section leader 3 times, put in hack twice by me. With a history of high-speed passes over 5 air control towers and 1 admiral's daughter, Penny Benjamin. Go see Top Gun Maverick.